Valencia. Good evening to all of our viewers and listeners to Leadership Matters. I am indeed pleased to join the Prime Minister on this occasion. Our team leader involves his team in the development of this nation, and on this occasion I will share with you from my ministries. I have been fortunate to have been granted human settlement, universal health, social security, ecclesiastical affairs, social services, gender affairs. And I will begin with National Housing Corporation because this week we are celebrating, in fact I should say this month, we are celebrating the 24th anniversary of this institution. So from the 1st of September we have begun the journey of what is our 25th Jubilee. The National Housing Corporation has been celebrating, and on Sunday, last Sunday, we attended the church service at the Antioch Baptist Church and celebrated with some members of the staff and the community the fact that NHC was born in 1996 in September. The following day there was a breakfast at the NHC and 5 members of staff were honored because they have been with the corporation for 24 years. And so I want to take the opportunity to congratulate Helena Charles, Mavis Warner Powell, Camilla Williams, Tamina Byron, and Merton Nelson. Those persons began all the way back in 1996 and are still there. So I want to congratulate them. We further, the next day, launched a couple of customer-focused videos to sensitize the public about NHC initiatives, and on perhaps almost every social media platform these initiatives have been aired. Then of course there was a program which was done here at ZIZ, Working For You, in which I engaged with the chairman and the public relations and client relations manager, where we shared for at least an hour and a half or two on all of the initiatives which NHC has undertaken over the years, the last 4 or 5 years, and what we were launching during the week, this week of celebration. Then of course there was a program on a live done by the member of the board, Candice Keynes, and General Rollins from the corporation, where they spoke to many initiatives, including the fact that they were launching online initiatives, ways to pay for your mortgage online using JAD and other technologies. And one of the reasons why we focused on payment is, as you're aware, COVID has hit the entire world, but certainly in St. Kitts and Nevis we have felt it in all of our institutions, and NHC was no different. And so as a result we have had some persons who may have been delinquent, but others who may have become even more so as a result of COVID. So we're providing opportunity for them to meet with members of staff to discuss how to avoid arrears and building up of your mortgage. It is important for me to mention now that one way to avoid being strangled by your mortgage payments is to pay on time and pay ahead of time, because arrears only build added interest, which is of no credit to you who are paying your mortgage. So while there's difficulty, sit with your individuals at NHC, because there will be some response that can help you to avoid adding unnecessary added interest to your mortgage payments. I began with NHC, and perhaps I should look at the broader ministry and how it fits into the overall human settlement and housing policy of the state. For example, we are aware that we have engaged private sector institutions like TDC and others to help to build out the housing stock of the country. And recently we have engaged with private developers. We are having these discussions so that we can provide housing for middle and middle upper income persons as well. So while NHC has a focus on poor, indigent, and those who are in the low income bracket, we are also engaging stakeholders in building for those who might be the young professional, the entrepreneur, who would want to get a home and just pay for it rather than be engrossed in all of the difficulties and challenges of building a home for oneself. So towards this end, we have engaged in discussion with the developer, and the success of that new development will offer unique advantages to young professionals, to young businessmen, and so on, to own the home of their dreams. I believe that ZIZ might be able to show you on screen a picture of what we have in mind as I speak, because there are at least 2 samples that may attract the middle income homeowner, because that is where we want to take construction from middle income and upper income, well, middle to upper income in the near future. That won't be NHC, let me tell you. That would be private developers. We are engaging to build quality homes for our people. I want to move on to something which is very troubling to the Team Unity administration in terms of the human capital and how they are housed in our country. Because we know from a study in 2016 that there were several persons who did not have running water in their homes and did not have bathroom and toilet facilities, and some who were still with pit latrines. Now that is something which has come from all the way back in the 80s, when only 20% of our people enjoyed that. And we have reduced that all the way down into the 90% now, but we have to complete that task in this 5-year period. And so as our nation has graduated, based on all of the data and international tests that have been applied, we need to move our nation's people to the point where at least they will have water, bathroom facilities in their homes. The study that was done in 2016 showed that in Nebis, for example, there were 105 persons that still had pitch latrines by 2016, and there were 42 persons who had no facility of toilets at all. And in St. Kitts, there were 211 persons who were still with pit latrines, and of course 194 without any toilet facilities. We will eradicate that. The Team Unity administration will eradicate that in this term, so that at the end of this term we should have 0 persons who are plagued with these challenges of no water or bathroom facilities in their home. It is a challenge which I give to my ministry, and which I am pushing my Team Unity administration to work with me on, so that at the end of this term we can say that those people who had this challenge, they have benefited from the work of the Team Unity administration. I want to turn, if I may, to another aspect of my ministry, which has to do with waste management. And I'm so pleased that I have been offered solid waste again for the 2nd term, because we started a project with solid waste back 2 or 3 years ago, trying to remove all of the derelict vehicles that we have and all of the scrap metal that we have strewn around the country. And so, despite the fact that we were faced with COVID in the last few months, we were able to continue that program and continue our regular program of removing waste and taking it to our landfill. During the lockdown, there was no substantial interruption in the movement of waste from your homes. You have benefited from the government's project of bins, waste bins, near your homes to bring some measure of control and to measure the quantity of waste that is being disposed by our householders and our businesses as well. And I am pleased that we did not have any interruptions during the period of pandemic, and I have to thank the staff of Solid Waste, those who came out and worked during those days. Thank them for their commitment. They could easily have, stayed away and caused havoc, but they came out and worked. And I want to thank all of those persons who worked during that period, as described by those of us who are essential workers. I am glad that they turned out and worked because they helped to keep our country safe. We had introduced a twice-weekly collection program, and it has been successful. It has caused us to realize a 30% increase in domestic waste collection, and this is a significant increase over the period. I want to take the opportunity to announce at this point that Solid Waste will be putting on an additional afternoon shift to further bolster the domestic waste collection program. We are doing all of this as we move towards considering waste to energy in St. Kitts and Nevis. I believe that for taxi drivers, even for some unemployed hotel workers who may possess the necessary class driver's license, could be employed as temporary environmental and domestic waste collectors until the tourism industry begins. We have, of course, embarked on the Litter Wardens program, and we put them to work and shift into the night sometimes because people are deliberate in disposing of waste in areas where they should not. And so I would want to move very quickly to the derelict vehicles because I think we have spent some time at the start. So far I can indicate that we have already bailed over 5,000 vehicles, derelict vehicles that were strewn across the country, creating havoc for health. I want to turn to the last part of my opening presentation. It would appear that my studio would want a break, but I really want to talk about the COVID payments of which the Prime Minister spoke. So over the past 6 months, in addition to the regular duties of Social Security Board to provide benefits to eligible persons, Social Security officers have been engaged in the processing of COVID-19 relief funds. Payments begun on 20th April 2020 as promised, and continuously and daily uploads to the various bank accounts and dispatching of checks up to the 31st of August 2020. On August 31st, 2020, a grand total of $20,344,755.59 was disbursed. For the month of April, 8,275 persons benefited from the program to the tune of $7.9 million. And for May, 7,964 persons benefited from the program to the tune of $7.6 million. And for June, 5,278 persons benefited from the program to the tune of $5 million. As the Minister, having noted the continued state of unemployment, particularly for those engaged in the tourism sector and related entities, it became necessary to authorize an additional injection of $7 million to be made. As you would recall, it was originally $15 million, so we increased that to $22 million. On 2nd September 2020, I sought the support of the board in authorizing an extension to the release fund to be paid for the month of September 2020. In order to manage the disbursement process, a set of approved guidelines were established. Eligible persons will be provided a grant in the amount of $1,000. Payments will begin on the 25th of September 2020. The most salient points are detailed, and I will touch on them for you. A certified list of all persons confirmed as laid off, unemployed due to COVID as at 31st August 2020 should be submitted by employers within the tourism sectors and any other sector that is so affected. The list, of course, will be verified by the Social Security team and our compliance unit. Pre-existing applicants do not need to apply, but new applicants can apply if they are so affected. The list from employers and any new application form must be submitted to Social Security Board no later than the 18th of this month. Let me repeat that. Should be submitted no later than the 18th of this month. Persons in receipt of Social Security pensions or benefits are not eligible for the payment. Government employees, employees of statutory corporations and step employees are not eligible for the payment. Persons in receipt of PAP and any other form of income from the government will not be eligible for payment. An employee who has filed for and received his or her redundancy payments will not be eligible for payment. Let me be careful in saying that. An employee who have filed and received. If you have not received, you're still eligible. But if you have received your redundancy, you're no longer eligible. Self-employed persons in the tourism industry who are registered before March 1st and who have not resumed the activities, they are eligible. I will stay here and leave the rest of the information as we have discussions throughout the night. Thank you.
Thank you very